Hello, hello, hello. Welcome back to another episode of Explorations. I am Ian. Today I will be talking about how to load a canoe onto a car without a roof rack and by yourself if you do not have assistance. I frankly do not have a roof rack on my car, so for those who do but are still loading the canoe on by yourself, you could probably adapt some of these pieces. Take what you will from it. So let's get straight into it. First things first, let's talk about some of the equipment that you will need. And we'll get into the strapping system of the canoe first before some of the more custom, so to speak, equipment that you may need. Okay, so with the canoe strap down system, what normally you will be provided in a canoe kit, and everything I will be mentioning you can find with the links below. The one thing that you actually have to put on without a roof rack are these kind of foam blocks. Ooh, the lighting's pretty bad. So with this slit in the middle, this goes onto the gunnel of your canoe, and then this sits on the top of the roof, and then the gunnels go into here. You will have 4 of these. Some cars may not have hooks at the bottom of the engine block, so the straps will go all the way down and below the engine. So what I use is something like this. It goes into the hood of your engine. So you pop the hood of the car, you stick this. I stick it in between my wheel socket where the suspension ends up on the chassis. I stick it underneath there, and then you close it down, and this goes around the hood in such a way like this. And finally, you will have 4 straps generally in one of these kits. 2 that goes around the body of the actual canoe, and then 1 for the front and then 1 for the back. So you have the front and back, and then the lateral part of the support as well. So I mean, they're just straps, right, with a buckle, and it goes around the canoe and then underneath the roof of the car, and then just tie it down. Okay, so that's very easily, quickly, simply put, just the normal tie down straps for the canoe that you'll get in the kit. You can purchase any of these pieces separately, but if you're just starting off, get the kit. It's much easier. How do you put the actual canoe on top of the car without the roof rack? So what I use is actually a pool noodle. Simple pool noodle. Really, I don't know, maybe just about over a meter and a bit long. But more importantly, I have rope at the end of it. This rope will go into the car door, and then once you put the canoe on top, it'll slide along the pool noodle on top of the car. So I mean, it's quite simple, nice and easy, a couple bucks. These 2 ends go into the car door. This is the roof of the car, into the door, and then boom, super easy. I have 2 of these, so 2 pool noodles, 2 lengths of rope, and 1 for the front, 1 for the back, and voila, there you go. These are all the things you need. It's quite simple, but I feel like it's more of the technique of how it's done that could maybe be a little tricky for some. But I will share with you some tips and tricks that will make it a lot easier. Okay, so you will notice on the car, and excuse that garbage can in front, you'll notice on the car I have the green and blue pool noodles. They're already set up. You'll see the rope I was talking about, this rope. it's already in the car door, at the front and the back doors. I had tried to push the pool noodles as far back as possible, because once you start sliding, the pool noodles will move forward. Okay, so you'll notice on the Canoe, I already have these foam placements already on the Canoe, to where I have my best guesstimate of where it would fit on my car. I've done this a few times, so I have a general understanding where it would go. If you do not know where it goes yet, that's okay. You can actually just slip it underneath the Canoe after you put it on, before you take the pool noodles out. Okay, so you'll notice that I have portaged the Canoe to the back of the car. I am as close to the car as possible, where I can still maneuver underneath the Canoe. I gently put it down, and I step back and then lift and then push the Canoe right over top, as you can see in the video. You notice that the foam pads, I have to actually lift it over. That's one thing you have to navigate. If you don't have it on there, it'll be a touch easier. Frankly, it's neither here or there. It's not too difficult. Now from here, you notice that I'm adjusting where the Canoe is. So what I found for my Canoe and my car specifically, and this is going to be different for every Canoe and every car setup, where the yoke is on my Canoe, I try and center it just behind the driver's seat. That, to me, I feel like was the best spot for my Canoe to have the best balance on the car. It's the front bow of the Canoe is just a little bit like angled downward toward the front of the engine block. The reason I do this is for aerodynamics. You don't want the Canoe to be like catching all the wind like a kite, and making it a little less stable. So here you'll see me pulling out the pool noodles, adjusting everything with the foam pads. So at this point, I'm tying down the Canoe, and make sure, I have seen this. It may seem like absolute common sense, but I have seen this before, where people just roll down their window with the door closed and then strap the Canoe down with the doors. You could do that, but if you do it at the front, how are you going to get in and out of the driver's seat?
I have definitely done this on more than one occasion. It is much easier to do than you think, and it's super frustrating to have to go and undo all the straps afterwards, so make sure you're not doing this.
So make sure you have the doors open and then just strap it down. It will provide a little bit more security as well, should the webbing try and slip around. So at this point, you'll notice that I'm moving around the Canoe a lot. I'm tensioning everything slowly, but most importantly, what I'm checking for when I rock the Canoe, just with the two straps, I want to make sure that it's already feeling pretty snug and secure, because these two straps in the middle are the key things that are going to be holding the majority of the weight of the Canoe. Not just the weight, but keeping it down onto the car. And when I shimmy the Canoe, rocking it back and forth left and right, the way to know that your Canoe is on securely is if the car moves as you shake the Canoe. So it looks like it's more or less connected to each other, let's say. So you shake the Canoe, the car should move as well. If it doesn't, tighten it a little bit more, but not too much, especially if you have a more, I don't know how to put it, but like a Canoe that you think is a little bit more fragile. They're all pretty durable stuff, but if you have, I don't know, Kevlar, for example, even though it's pretty sturdy, there is, like, the Canoe is not really meant to take that kind of compression with these 1-inch straps, and so that's a lot of PSI on that small little area, so just be careful. Tighten it down, but use your best judgment on that. You don't want to yard it, crank it down. That's my disclaimer for that piece. Once you put those straps on, the front and back will also help with a little bit of the lateral movement, but they're more for the front and back. And they don't need to be as tight as the ones in the middle. Right, so here, when I'm tying down the front of the canoe, you'll notice that remember these little things that go underneath the hood. This is where it comes into play, because underneath my car I do not have a direct hook, or nor could I thread my straps through any eyelets at the bottom of the chassis of the car. So these loopholes work really well. Now there is some concern if you tension it down and you're good to go, you start driving and things are flapping around, it can eat away at the webbing. So you want to make sure the way you strap the front of the canoe down is in a particular way so that it doesn't flap around. Sometimes it's unavoidable just because of the wind, the crosswind, whatever, but that is just the nature of it. The back of my canoe, I do have a little towing hook thing, so I just simply thread it through that eyelet and then put it through the canoe. Alright, some quick tips and tricks just for a little bit more security, a bit more efficiency, a bit less wind buffing against the canoe. You'll notice first on the two straps on the canoe at the front and back, what I like to do is put them as far away from each other as possible, so at the front of the car and at the very back of the car. This is so that the lateral movement is pretty secure. If your anchors are like closer to the middle, it's easier to pivot the canoe. The wind will just push the car around. So make sure the straps are at the furthest front and furthest back of the car and canoe, so you get the maximum kind of support to hold the canoe down onto the car. Another tip, as you strap down the webbing, make one twist in the strap just before you tension everything. The reason for this, it actually really helps with noise. For those who may have already strapped the canoes down before and carried the canoe, and you can't figure out why there's this like noise that happens. It's because the wind is cutting through those straps in a particular way that it creates that kind of harmonics. But if you just put one twist in that strap, somehow it gets rid of it. Another tip, at the front of the canoe, you'll notice I tried my best to explain in the car how to put it, how to thread it through the front of the canoe, so that there's one strap that's flat, that's I guess the leading edge, and then the other strap is like that, and with a twist as it goes through the entire threading. Somehow this worked amazingly. I just found this out on this trip. I don't know if it'll work every single time, but as throwing out there, if it works for you as well. It has worked for me on the trip up and back. Another tip, once you're done tensioning everything, roll the cam when you have the camming action. Once it's done, make sure you it's the dead end of the extra webbing. It's not just floating around, it's tied up somewhere. What I do a quick overhand slip knot I do a quick overhand with the loop. I pull the dead end through that, so even if it does come undone, you have that little extra security, and I shove everything in the car instead of just having it flop around outside of the car. Following that, another tip is to really also take your time to make sure that the straps in the middle are tensioned well. And so when you shake the canoe, you do that test, the car is moving as you shake the canoe, and then the straps at the front and back just really help with acceleration and deceleration so that the canoe doesn't fly forward and back. Okay, so those are my tips and tricks, and also the video on how to load a canoe onto a car by yourself without a roof rack. I hope you enjoyed this video, found it informative. If you did, or if you didn't, comment below why you didn't like it, what other tips and tricks do you have. Subscribe, like our videos, that will help very much. And if you'd like to see more videos like this, please comment below and let us know what you'd like to see next. Until next time, enjoy getting out on the water and paddle safe and drive safe with the canoe on top. Alright, until then.